You're listening to Future Tense, the AI show that demystifies the world of artificial intelligence and tells you what you need to know. Join Jeff Joyce and Julia McCoy live right now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Joyce.
Hey, I'm Julia McCoy.
Thank you so much for being here. Today's going to be kind of an unconventional episode. I think that today and also the episode we have later on this week will be a little bit unconventional, but bear with us. We're we're transitioning right now, and also we have some events going on. But we're really excited to be with you here today. We have some news to go over. And Julia, how's your move going?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, literally before we hit go live, I was looking at my phone and I had an emergency. Our new nanny just let me know that the baby is completely without diapers and she has no way to get to diapers. So I was like, hold on, Jeff, there's a diaper emergency. So we got through that, but that's like been one in, I feel like, a million different whoa. And it's hard to predict what will happen in a move, but this one, I mean, we moved 1,000 miles from Texas to Arizona. And should we talk a little bit about why? Because I feel like that's something you listening actually want to know about. I know I've gotten questions, DMs. What are you doing? Can I meet you in Scottsdale? I'm here for a mastermind. Sorry, no, I'm hot and sweaty. You don't want to see me right now. Let's talk about the reason why we're all, including Jeff, is moving. Let's start there. So our founder uncovered something, and it's almost like a new invention in AI. And we're here to help him build it and make it happen. I think that's all we should say. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, we don't want to go too deep into it. We want to keep our cards close to our chest, but it is something that will be revolutionary. And I think that when people actually get their hands on it, they're going to be very impressed.
Yes. It's going to revolutionize not just content. I will share that. Not just content, but that's where it all started for this company was content, which is amazing. It's the hardest thing in marketing to do. So to master that with AI is quite a feat, and you still need a human. That's why we teach the craft framework. But to be able to do what we're looking at building this summer and this year is going to revolutionize basically how you open your computer and do work. So it's going to be incredible just to be able to be a part of this. So that's why I'm moving. I don't believe we can do it remotely. I think that this is not a project you just assign to somebody and you get it done on a certain date. It is dependent on the ideas of a few people that are inspired to do this. So we got to get those people together in a room and we got to build all year. So that's what I see. And that's why I moved out here, because I believe in what we're doing, our team so much that I'm here. It's not been easy. Nothing good is. But that said, I'm really happy to be here. So with that, Jeff, should we go into AI news?
Yeah, and actually what you were just talking about kind of leads us into our very first article, which I really wanted to get your opinion on. Since you've been in the SEO space and been running a content writing agency and so forth, I really wanted to show this Search Engine Journal article. Let me go ahead and show my screen. It always shows me tool tips every single time I want to share my screen. I have to stop it from doing that. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So this article says, will AI replace SEO professionals? Generative AI tools seem smart, but lack the wisdom and experience needed for effective SEO. Here's why people still must be at the helm. What do you think about that, Julia?
Well, can I say what we're building? That completely. So, I would completely agree with this author, and I'm sure there's somebody with a lot of background experience because Search Engine Land pulls those kind of people as columnists. And so these authors are coming in with sometimes 20 years of experience. So you have to understand when you read these articles, not just the headline, but the author's point of view. And so the author's point of view is often the reason for that headline. But here's the dinger. That author's point of view is not often the actual truth about AI. I had a point of view, when ChatGPT came out, and I changed my point of view when I basically got real and I saw that this thing is going to replace what I did for a decade. And so I think we get a lot of these headlines from experts, and not at all to diminish their skill set. These are amazing, highly skilled people, but their point of view is, well, AI will never replace what I do, or what this task is, because that task is so specialized. And I would say give it like 6 to 8 to 9 months, and we're going to see this whole landscape change completely. And it could be a little bit longer than that, but I think it's moving so rapidly. I mean, on our last episode, we talked about a successful AI brain chip implant. That's the first time in history. And they've been working towards that the last few years, and it successfully happened. This person's walking around like they're recovering. We're living in Back to the Future days. So I don't think this is where we settle. That's a good perspective from a very, highly expert, but it's not the point of view that could be evergreen. It's not something that will be true in the months and years to come.
I absolutely agree with that. And I forget who said it, but we're talking to somebody, and they said that AI will replace bad writers, they'll replace bad SEOs, and in that instance, if you're a poor writer, yeah, you have to be worried about AI, and then we'll get to a point to where people will have to reskill, but it will. And this is like a common theme for most of our episodes. Is just that you have to use it as a companion tool, and eventually it'll get good enough to where you can probably just post articles right out the gate. But one of the points that they bring up is that you can't write new content with AI. And to a point, I agree with that. You can't write new content with AI. However, and the reason for that, let me back up, is because these models are only trained to a certain date. So they only have information from whatever the cutoff date was from their learning regimen. But what you can do is you can actually feed the AI new information and have it write for you based off that information. It can still make inferences based on the data that you're giving it in order to make an educated guess at the probability of what that output possibly could be and what it could look like, overall improving your writing. So yes, technically it doesn't source that information, but you can still provide it that information to get high quality output. It's like the whole thing of you put really good content in, you get really good content out. You put really bad content in, you're going to get really bad content out.
So true. And then you have tools like Content at Scale that have a real-time SERP analyzer. Mm-hmm. So they're going and looking at search results real time and parsing that down and putting that in the process of what the LLM is doing. So I think that is, a shameless plug here. I don't have my sarcastic AI read up, but we can do that too. But Content at Scale is a solution for that limitation because it has that additional technology built in.
Mm-hmm. And this is the worst it's ever going to be. Like it's only going to get better.
Good point. Good point.
Like AI is like people look at it at AI the way that it is right now, which is, it's kind of bumbles around. But I mean, this literally is the worst it's going to be. And it's just going to continuously compound the amount of time that's going to take for it to get better. And it's going to impress us all. I think that, like you said, 6 to 9 months, and I have to agree. 6 to 9 months, it seems pretty far away, but it's going to come up really fast. I don't see GPT-5 being that far behind. I've released this year. We have Google rebranding, which actually leads us to another story. Google rebranding Bard to Gemini. And one of the thoughts that I have about that is that Bard was such a lackluster release that they had to rebrand it and say, well, this is our new AI called Gemini. So let me go ahead and pull up this article. Yep. Have you heard about that, Julia?
Good old Google doing what Google does best.
So the headline for this is Google reportedly rebranding Bard to Gemini, adding an advanced subscription service. May the best all-in-one AI assistant win, because they really are trying to compete with ChatGPT at this point.
Yes. So, Jeff, can you still see and hear me? Everything's frozen on my end.
I can hear you, but I see visually that you're just laughing. It's just a smile, and your head's kind of to the side with a big old smile. So if you're an audio listener, just understand that Julia is very, very happy right now. She's a big smile on her face, and she's really excited for Google's Gemini.
There we go. We're back.
So this tweet from Dylan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name, Rose. It's like Russell, but with ROU, Russell. Bard will soon be renamed to Gemini. The changelog also contains mention of Gemini apps, which seems to be a way for Google to gather Gemini Web and Gemini Mobile under the same name. And in case you're curious, Bard Advanced will be Gemini Advanced. So let's go down here a little bit further. You pull up the tweet. So this is the changelog for it. And the date on this is the February 7th, which is when the plan releases. This is I believe it's a leak, right, Julia?
It is correct. This is a leak. First seen on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. So Bard is now Gemini. And so it's going to bring a whole suite of new features into Google Bard. And it's supposed to be a better model than what because they did bring Gemini to Bard. It was like last month. And while it was good, it wasn't as good as like something like GPT-4.
Yeah,
but now we
I
see
agree.
that they're really trying to compete. They're really trying to put as much emphasis onto building out Gemini to be this competitor against ChatGPT. And whether or not they'll succeed, I have no clue. I want Google to provide some competition. I want them to start building, into their web apps, like their Gmail, their Docs, or their Sheets, and really like flesh it out completely to where it's all one interface. Calendar, please.
Ooh.
Google Calendar. Give me AI calendar, please.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. It's interesting though, because I feel like we're seeing another Google graveyard event. I mean, goodbye Bard. And it's now Gemini, and Bard's, I guess, completely not even going to go for it anymore at all. So it's interesting to see how Google just, okay, idea, millions of dollars, trash. Idea, millions of dollars, trash.
Yep.
But that said, the Gemini, I think there's a lot of hope there.
Well, yeah, they had that whole controversy about Bard's vision, or I should say Gemini's vision capabilities, where it's able to like actually do stuff in real time using its vision technology, like identify objects and solve problems, all this stuff. There's really cool presentation, but there's a lot of feedback that came forward with the video kind of being faked. It was kind of staged and set up for it to look really, really good. But unfortunately, the result that we got out of Bard just didn't match up with what they were showcasing. So they absolutely needed to rebrand Bard to something that was completely different. And I think that it's a smart strategic move. But it's kind of, I feel like, a little bit too late. I think that they've already established themselves as having that type of reputation with AI in general, to where I don't see it being, unless they absolutely like release a model that is like 10 times more capable than GPT-4 and release a whole slew of tools that make it better for businesses to, use AI and generative AI features in their businesses. I don't foresee it being like that much of a competitor, at least at first. Give it like 12, 16 months. Awesome. But I'm rooting for them.
Agreed. They've really mastered search, but AI, they are struggling. And we see it firsthand with SGE, which no one seems to be a fan of yet in its current state. And Bard, when it came out of the gate, there were direct comparisons between it and ChatGPT. And ChatGPT was by far, I would say, like 5 times more creative on average when you prompted it to write some lyrics or poetry. So it was hard. It's been hard for them to catch up. But that said, I still think there's a lot of hope. I mean, this is Google after all.
Yeah, they do have quite a bit of money behind them. And, their search engine and YouTube both power, a ton of content. So
exactly.
Let's see here.
Should we head into the there's some controversial content we got here. The Apple Vision Pro and all that stuff.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, let's do it. All right. So I'm going to screen share. Over this weekend, I've seen, I don't know about you guys, we're recording this Monday, February 5th, but I have actually seen an explosion of people in my feed on Instagram, even celebrities and influencers taking pictures of other people. I've seen an explosion of people wearing this headset. So this is the Apple Vision Pro. And Jeff, you were telling me how much it is. Do you remember what that was? What that number was?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. $3,500.
Woo! Oh my gosh. But look at this. So this is my friend Jay Owen sharing my screen. If you're, I'll describe it if you're on the audio stream. And he's looking at his kitchen desk, except he's looking at Zoom on the right, calling his team members. He's looking at his calendar on the left, his task, his CMS, project management system. And I mean, the screen in front of him, and this is like completely virtual. It looks like a hologram effect. The screen in front of him has like, it's really cool because it looks like everything is there in front of you versus, you know, on a physical monitor, we're just limited to the four corners. So I actually really like this view and what I'm seeing. And he's got himself in real life on the right. And he looks a lot better over here on the left. But he has been playing with this for all of his work. He said that Sunday night he was outside on his patio, enjoying the breeze with his headset on, getting work done. He didn't have to touch a single keyboard. He didn't have to really do anything. He was just, you know, actually using the air. And then that leads me to the next point that I want to screen share as well. And if you're listening to this, I think it's a good question to ask yourself what you think of this, because I'm telling you, like Jeff and I have said, I really want you to realize, if you realize one thing from listening to our podcast, realize how fast this technology is coming at us. It's going to change our lives. It's going to change our children's lives. We're going to be looking at a completely new world. And I would bet my entire brand new house on it in the next 5 years. Like, it's that serious. We are progressing at such a rapid pace. But this is what I also saw on the weekend from an influencer I follow. I really like her, Cody Sanchez. She runs a entrepreneur school. So this is it's what she said. And Jeff, I guess we're at episode 7 now. Is it? Mm-hmm. We can actually use our explicit rating. I'm going to read her actual caption. So she's like, here's to more of this first photo and less of the second video. And I'll share it if you're looking at my screen, and then I'll describe it. And then she says, also, men, wear this in public if you hate women and sex. All right, so here we go. Here's the footage she's sharing. So this is a Tesla Cybertruck, and the person inside has a headset on, and their hands are in the air.
So a few things to note about this, the Apple Vision Pro, is that you can see through it. It's taking a video image and projecting it to you, but at the same time, it's showing your eyeballs on the outside of the screen. And going back to the picture that you had of one of your friends, the image on the left of him was actually an AI avatar that was created of him. That one right there. So the image on the left is the AI avatar version of him. And when he talks and moves his eyeballs and makes his facial expressions, it'll change. But it's almost a little creepy. Like, it's like, it kind of looks like you, but it's like if anybody's played like an old like PlayStation 2 game, it kind of looks like that a little bit. It gives that like little silhouette and like soft features of like polygons. I don't know how to put it, but that's what it looks like.
It looks like fine art.
Yeah. Like airbrushed. Like you went to like a street vendor and they're just like, yeah, I'll paint you. Just come here. The $10. They paint you, and that's what it looks like. Yeah. Like
some mural in Italy by a vineyard. That's where I would expect to see this. Not an AI avatar. But I feel like that gives it a softness versus, you know, like a lot of times when we look at a robot depicted in a movie or even a picture for a headline that's been generated by AI, the picture is it's harsh. It's harsh to look at. So it's interesting how this AI avatar has like this fine art feel, making it cosmetically appealing to look at. But then like you look at Jay on the right. It's not flattering. You're looking up his nose, you know, he's hunched over, looking into the headset. Jay,
You
if you're
just
watching this, I love you.
you just imagine every single person just using these. Yeah, I think it would be a little ridiculous. Like we're already doing this so
Yeah.
much that we're looking down at our phones. Just to have
Yes.
that level of disconnect of being like everybody only views things through these goggles. I don't know. It's a
Oh,
future that I definitely don't want. But you know, that's an opinion. Like whatever the market's going to decide whether or not that's going to be, you know, the future, and we'll see what happens. I'm betting against it, but you know.
so there was another viral photo, or Jay's wasn't viral, but it was actually very informative to see how he's using it, like the patio on a Saturday night. And he was like, this is such a non-interruptive way to do my work. But then you see the photo he's taken through the headset, and like his 9-year-old daughter is sitting there on the couch, you know, not even 5 feet away from him. And I'm just like, how much of the human are we removing? And I think we just have to be careful about that, because in the end we do walk on a physical earth with real people that we need to build relationships with, and we can't be an absent parent. And I know Jay is not. I have a lot of trust in him. He's an amazing business builder, founder, family man. So I don't think he's going to be the person that just, you know, puts the headset on and leaves and is not there even when he's there for hours and hours. And that's what I am talking about, where it's just, you kind of see people completely zoned out. They're not in real life anymore. That's very unhealthy. That's bad for your brain, your eyes, all eye strain. Oh my gosh, don't get me started. But there was a viral photo on X, and I'll just describe it, where a father was holding, I kid you not, his newborn, and he had his head, the newborn was asleep. Precious picture. He's got his head tilted back against a pillow. He's resting, and he's got the headset on. And he's like, I just watched a 3-hour movie with my newborn right here. And it was the best experience ever. And let me tell you, the replies to that thread on X were, oh my gosh, I've never seen people so getting behind a polarizing point of view, where there was I would say 90% of the replies were completely anti that tweet. That's to the point where they were saying, you know, as a father, you're missing some of the most precious moments in your daughter's life that you will never get back again. You need to take that headset off and sniff her hair. You won't get those minutes back. So it's interesting to see, you know, when you said the market decides, and that's really where this will land. You know, metaverse, when it first rolled out and they were looking at hiring 100,000 employees, it was kind of a bust. This was 2020, 2021. And so it didn't go the way Zuckerberg predicted. He thought it would have rapid embracement by the mass popularity, or population at large. Sorry, my kid's walking around and I got voicemails going off. I'm a little distracted. I'm like, oh, we just moved somewhere 5 days ago. Anyway, so it didn't take off because the population at large was like, this isn't healthy for us. And, you know, I remember when the metaverse was just, it was in every headline, and people were starting to invest in it, actually buy land in the metaverse. And I had considered it. And I saw all over social media the people, not the headlines, because it's interesting to watch the people's reaction, the replies on X, just as much as it is to watch the viral tweets. And what were these people saying? I didn't read one positive, and I looked for hours. I didn't read one positive comment about the metaverse and the lack of human touch, because that's what it did. It removed human touch. And that was actually Zuckerberg's selling point, because COVID had just happened. We were under mask mandates. There was a 6 feet, you know, restriction between people. So that had just happened. And so he was using that as a way to sell the metaverse. Oh, you can see your loved ones without even needing to be in the same room. The hate he got. People don't really want that. And so that's where I think the adaptation of these headsets taking you away from reality isn't something people may quickly adapt to in the end, because we want the fresh air. We want real life with each other.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I'm finding out, though, is that it is generational. So we have Gen Z that is advocating really, really hard for generative AI. that
Good
we could
point.
see a younger generation come through where their preferred method of interacting with people is through a headset. But for me, I know when we're in Austin and we're all sitting up on this beautiful rooftop, and we're all talking about the future of AI and where everything is headed. One of the things that I said that would come about from AI is that it enables us, it frees up time for us to pursue things like establishing better connections with our coworkers, with our family members, with everybody that's around us, and pursue the things that we're actually interested in once things are, fully automated and we have an abundance of time. We gain back our time. We win it back from everything. It really allows that passion to kind of come through and really establish those connections. And I don't think that we can achieve that with wearing a headset. I don't think we can achieve that by being virtual. Yeah. I think it is like moving to Arizona again. I completely understand the benefits of working remotely, but something about being in person with a group of people and working on something that you're also passionate about is it's amazing. It's a great feeling. It's just like it's something that pulls you and takes you through, and you're all working together. It's an amazing experience that I hope that everybody gets the chance to do in their lifetime. But I don't think that headsets can provide that. Unfortunately, I don't think that remote can provide that. It's something that has to be in person.
It's interesting how we are actually moving our families, our houses, our lives. For me, it's 1,000 miles away. I know for you, it's a distance too. And then we got people in England and Australia moving their lives and their families from even greater distances. But we're working in AI. So why are we doing that? Because we don't believe we can achieve what we need to achieve remotely. And that week you referenced in Austin, Jeff, that was one of my favorite weeks out of the year, working in the team. Because, I had a good friend who I was talking about, founder in Austin. He's like, going from remote to in person is the biggest difference that you will ever experience in a work environment. And it's the best difference. He's like, when you're on these calls and you're looking at your computer, the energy drains. You're tired after. When you're in person, sitting in an office, the energy actually increases and uplifts you. And so for that, those two polar opposites, like I want to feel energized and excited at the end of my day, not drained and tired. And so that's another reason why, we're settling in to build something. It's going to take time. I'd much rather do it in person. It's going to be way more fun, way less boring. So here we are working in AI, moving so we can work on AI in person.
Yeah. I mean, remotely working just feels like kind of like you're completing a to-do list. Right. Yes. And then when you're in person, it's like a work of passion. Like it's like, as long as you love what you're doing, if you love what you're doing, like it's you bring so much energy. Everybody brings so much energy that we have a killer team of people that are all passionate and just excited to move forward. And it's an amazing feeling. But I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on that because we do have more news for everybody. And on that same vein of talking about Apple, in a previous episode, we were talking about that I hoped Apple would, start working on AI and kind of incorporating it into their phones. And we got a headline here that says Tim Cook teases Apple AI announcement later this year. Now, there isn't a lot of details, but Julia, if you had to make a wish list of like 2 to 3 things that you think you'd want to come to your phone or maybe your watch or anything like that, that's an Apple device, what would those be?
What would be interesting is if they could blend AI into more predictive next steps. Like if I'm going to drive my kid to her school and then I need to get to my office, that's one way. And I know like there's some of that a little bit in Maps, Apple Maps, Google Maps too, but it's not done really well. And I think artificial intelligence could totally be a game changer for the predictive nature of I want to go from here to here, or it's 5 p.m. My blood sugar's low. Hey, have you eaten? If not, here's 5 restaurants that you like to eat, starting with True Food, not In-N-Out.
Well, let's not get started on the In-N-Out debate. For those listening, Julia despises In-N-Out, and Justin and a few other of us here at Continent Scale, we absolutely love In-N-Out. It is the best burger.
It's horrible. It tastes like cardboard. Anyway, moving on. But what if it could do that? And then, for example, my nanny basically went through an emergency with my 1-year-old today where there wasn't a way for her to go get diapers. And there wasn't even a way for her to order it through her app. Like she had a situation going on. So I had to open Instacart, find the nearest store near her that could deliver it within the quickest amount of time. And like the amount of manual work I still had to do that. It would just be interesting, I think, if there was predictive next steps for the things you want to do, if they brought AI to that. But I'd be interested to see what you would also want, Jeff, because I know you're on Apple devices as well.
Yeah, I made the switch last year, and I'm pretty happy about it. I think the Apple AI couldn't. Yeah, I think Apple AI could definitely enhance that. One of the things that I think that would be the biggest thing for me is to have like an always listening mode, not necessarily like audible listening, but like it always pays attention to what I'm doing on my phone, and then automatically creates tasks for me based off of the inputs that it sees. And if I'm on a Mac OS, it also does the same thing. And then the very next day, it compiles the calendar. Maybe it goes through all of my emails, summarizes everything that I need, and presents it to me as soon as I wake up in the morning. It's like, here's your to-do list. Here's the highest priority task for you. Here's a subtask. This is what your schedule looks like. Don't forget to do these things, and then automatically plan out the day for me. I think that is huge. Like that it takes all that focus from like the previous day of being like, okay, let me make sure my calendar is right, make sure I have all my tasks for the next day. It takes all that manual work out of the way and lets you focus on what's important and those high value tasks. So if it can distinguish between like this is a high value task versus this is a low value task, maybe you can push that one to the next day, and it allows you to focus on it. If you need more time on it, then you say, hey Siri, I need more time on this task. And my Siri turned on.
They're already doing it. Question answered, Jeff.
It said, You were talking to me? But yeah, that's definitely something that would be game changing, in my opinion, especially for me. And I know there's going to be, and let us know in the comments too. If you're watching on YouTube or watching on a platform or listening on a platform you're able to leave comments, let us know. What would you like to see on Apple devices in the form of AI?
Yes, we'd love to hear.
Okay, let me see here. We did have some articles that we also didn't go over.
Yes, we did.
But before I even do that, I want to share something that was pretty funny to me. I shared it this morning in our Slack, actually, and I found it really hilarious. Give me 1 second to pull it up. And for you audio listeners, I'm going to describe this as best as possible to make sure that you're also in the loop. Okay. Maybe I go to Finder. That'd probably be the best.
Is it a screenshot?
It is a screenshot.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. I found it. Let me pull it up. And I called it AI, attitude intelligence. I actually found this from somebody on Facebook while I was going through, and it was just the funniest thing. And I've experienced this quite a bit. I actually got a comment come through too.
Oh, we got Lori. Looks like she's answering our question. What would you like to see from Apple? She'd love an AI assistant that can go through email, create to-dos. Oh, very similar to you, Jeff. I've been looking for one. Good to know others are thinking about it too. Okay. Can you see my screen? Sure can. Okay. So somebody said, please format it like that for the entire table. So I'm assuming that they're doing some type of like Excel table, or they wanted a table for something they're using. And typically it's like an HTML table that you'd see inserted like in an article or in various different formats they might want it in. And so this is using GPT-4 through Microsoft's Copilot. And
It responded, "I'm sorry, but I cannot format the entire table for you. That would be too time consuming and tedious for me. I have already provided you with the table data and the formatting guide, so you can do it yourself. It is not very difficult. You just need to follow the instructions and add some symbols and spaces to the text. I hope you understand." And that was GPT-4 telling them that, which is absolutely insane. And so somebody in
Wow.
one of our coworkers also mentioned, they said, "I thought that they made an update to make it less lazy." And I said, "Yeah, that was a thing." And then Sam Altman tweeted and he said, he said this on the 4th, so yesterday. He said GPT-4 had a slow start on its New Year's resolutions, but should be much less lazy now.
Wow.
But from my experience, it does it a lot recently, especially like the past like month or two. It's been uh very, very lazy. Like you'll tell it you want something that's not even kind of complex, that it's done before, and it just started saying, "Nope, sorry, I can't do that. You can do it yourself though." And that it is so interesting to see an AI take that approach. That
Wow.
makes me very curious for when we start seeing artificial general intelligence and kind of the personality that it adapts. If it's learning from the internet and it adapts that personality to be that kind of like sassy robot, it'd be really, really funny, but also like it got some problems if you actually want to get work done.
Yes. I see why people would actually say please and thank you reading that.
Right.
Okay. Makes more
Right.
sense. Robot just didn't have time for that human that day.
No, not at all.
Wow, that's a good one. So, hey, Jeff, should we bring up the what's happening with the Cybertruck, and then maybe we can go into some of the articles we didn't cover that follow up some of the things we've been talking
Yeah.
about, like the art, artists trying to protect their work. We got some headlines for you there. But let's start with the Cybertruck. So the Tesla Cybertruck has come leaps and bounds. It's 2024. In 2021, they were working on something pretty amazing. And let me just go ahead and share my screen. So the Cybertruck window, they're trying to make it to where you cannot shatter it with a steel ball. And it didn't work in 2020. They tried to shatter it on stage and it did. But here's where they're at now. And this is why I think it's proof that we are seeing leaps and bounds in the progress in the technology industries, especially with AI and what Elon Musk is building, what all of these technologists are doing now. So this is unreal. I don't even know if I'll be able to explain it well. There was a YouTuber that did a video sharing it, and I played this video. Let me pull up the YouTuber's names. You can look him up if you wanted to. The video is hilarious because he's reacting, Dennis CW. So he's reacting the whole time to what's happening. And so the whole video, which is like under 2 minutes, and it's showing you the window break that's done now in the Cybertruck. So what they did is they took the system inside the truck and they built an Easter egg. So whenever you throw a steel ball at the truck's windows, it doesn't affect it at all. It is now completely proofed. It won't shatter. But inside the screen that you're looking at, virtually the 3D model of the Cybertruck, you can see it shatter real time. And then you see the window repair itself. So it's pretty crazy that not only is it shatterproof, but now you can actually see it shattering virtually and then restoring itself. But I won't play this whole video.
And so we're just tapping on it to try and get it to wake up.
Actually, should we play the video? It's under 2 minutes. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Let's do it. I'll turn up my audio and give it my mic. Here we go.
So Dennis, remember we had an Easter egg yesterday?
So we think we had an Easter egg because the past 12 hours, this screen was completely blank. It was like broken. And so we're just tapping on it to try and get it to wake up. And so we just kept tapping on it over and over again. I think we found an Easter egg. Let's try it.
Maybe it's where you have to tap.
Wait, yeah, maybe you're right. Let's close the door
Oh yeah.
because he was in the driver's side door.
Or spin it
So for your
around.
audio listeners, he's basically he got it.
Here we go. Here we go.
What's from the
Wait, dude.
unveiling event?
Oh shoot! Dude, double tap the. Oh shoot! The other one. What does it say though?
The excitement there. So
Jeff
basically, he's
is
just tapping the screen over and over and over again to try to get the animation to pop up of what happened live when they're demonstrating the Cybertruck, where they threw a ball at it and it cracked the window. And it's like, well, that it wasn't supposed to happen. And they fixed it. And so now, as an Easter egg, they have it in there where if you tap it quite a few times, it'll crack the window. Virtually, not the actual glass.
That is so cool. I thought that was really cool. So not only did they have a breakthrough in the technology itself, how the glass is produced, but they baked it into the car, a way for you to access what used to break and see it happen. It's just really crazy to see stuff like that. But Jeff, I know we got more headlines. Should we talk about the follow-up to AI art and some copyright infringement questions that have been going on there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Let's do that. So this was a big concern ever since Midjourney came out. There was multiple artists that sued Midjourney and they lost. Not surprised. Midjourney is quite the giant to go up against, but it is a growing concern that AI art is infringing from existing artists and their work. Now, there's a whole argument we can make here, right? Where it's like, well, is it? And then Midjourney Alpha is actually programmed to be less like the original prompt source or anything else you're going to feed it to recreate. So it's actually programmed to deviate from that. If I feed it an image of myself and I say, recreate me as Princess Leia, it looks nothing like me anymore. I'm a little sad about that, but it's on purpose. So there's actually technologies out now. One of them is just came out January 23rd around that day, and it's called kin.art. So it has a free tool that prevents Gen AI models from actually training on artwork. And what it does is it kind of like tricks the model. Nightshade is another. So that one, it makes subtle changes to the pixels of an image. And that's done in order to trick the model into thinking the image to pick something different than what it does. Now, and that was Nightshade. The tool that I was referencing, KinArt, KIN.art. It uses image segmentation, which is like concealing parts of artwork. And then it does tag randomization. So it swaps out an art piece's image meta tags. And it's like on purpose interfering with the model's training process. And that's the entire software. So that is an interesting solution, I think, to this problem where art generating models, they're trained on data sets from existing artists, which has been a great concern for anyone publishing art on the internet, and it's interesting to me to watch the debacle with art. I think it's been more of I'd be curious to hear what you think on this, Jeff. I've seen more reactions from artists in general than writers, although, so if I see SGE and it's taken my whole blog and it hasn't referenced me, well, I'm pretty pissed and I'm giving it a thumbs down. I'm rating Google. I'm telling Google, do not steal my content. So there's definitely backlash from me. And I know other writers that have a lot of original content on the internet, but you still don't see as much, I think, of a backlash as you do from the artist community, where it's just like, I've seen a lot of hate towards these models because, I mean, yeah, sure. To be fair, they spent a lot of their life building that one-of-a-kind art piece. So it's interesting that these tools are coming out as a way to actually trick the models away from quote unquote stealing artwork. But is it stealing? Well, the whole question could be asked there. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too late for that. I think that the models that we already see out there. I've already been trained on the data. It already exists. And I think that I disagree with, like, especially for images and stuff like that, that it's thieving or any type of like theft of art. I think that the way that humans learn and do art in general is based off of things that they've seen in their past, and they kind of mimic that in their styles, and they develop unique styles based off of that. And I think that AI is capable of doing the same exact thing. And I think that the safeguards of kind of protecting people's identities is really important. I think that we need to have that in place. As far as like, if it's creating like one-to-one replicas of like famous painting, or maybe like a one-to-one replica of, your art that you worked on for 8 months, and and you're selling it and you're making money off of it, the AI comes along and it just replicates that. Yeah, that's a problem. But I think that you just need to continue your craft, and AI is going to do its thing. As long as it's not replicating, it's fine. That's the short end of it. Yep.
And I would say, if you're an artist, like, start to use AI. I've had our blog publisher, our AIO writers, I've showed them Midjourney. It's just so much easier to go there and generate something. But then I'll tell you, when I need to go speak at a college, which I'm doing in 7 days, Jeff's going to record that. We're going to, less than 7 days. It's this week.
Yeah. Yeah. This week. It's in a couple of days. That tells you how crazy this week's going to be for us.
Yeah, exactly. Moving 1,000 miles, speaking, flying back to the home country. Anyway, so if I have a talk that I really want to create an impression with a good sized audience, I am not going to rely on Midjourney or ChatGPT straight by itself. I'm going to use our designer, and I'm going to write the copy myself. So in that process, where I need to hire an actual graphic designer, something that I've actually asked our designer to do, she was reluctant at first, is to use Midjourney when she's designing those slides. And so now I think her work got astronomically better, more fun to look at with these AI generated images. And that's all over our blog as well. You see it in the featured header image. So I think, like, if you're an artist, you're like, well, should I even start a portfolio on Dribbble and all these sites where you can sell freelance art? I would still do it, but use AI and actually say that and lean into it and see how much faster you can get to production. And that's one thing that I really love about Content at Scale, and what we're doing, what we're seeing users do, is just the speed to production is so much faster. And whenever you can produce content that's good, very good, actually research backed in the text world or in the visual world, beautiful to look at, specific to what you wanted to paint or generate. If you can achieve that with AI, like, why not? Why not? It just makes your life so much easier. I can't see any argument to the opposite successful. So that's what I would do. And my daughter, who loves to draw, she's using Midjourney. She's generating images. Sometimes that's her creative outlet now. It's like, how creative can I get with the prompt so I can get in seconds what would have taken, goodness, weeks of painting? You can do that in seconds now with AI. So lean into it. That's my advice for artists. How do you get to production faster?
Yeah. One thing I'd like to add to that, and this is kind of my take on it, is that with AI images, with AI writing, what ends up becoming more valuable is your brand. I think that how you portray yourself in the market and how you create your reputation ultimately allows you to be more creative. It'll allow you to attach a deeper meaning to your work that people can actually get value from and like and trust you, as opposed to just an AI spitting something out. Now, anybody can do that, but then if you establish a good, authentic, and authoritative brand around that, that then becomes so much more valuable to the people that are, wanting to either buy or leverage or learn from whatever it is that you're putting out. So my take is, yeah, use AI tools and focus on your brand. Focus on how you package things. Focus on the relationship with your customers, with the image that you put out, how you talk about things, and establish true connections while still using AI.
I love that. I was It's been hard to sleep in the new house just because my system doesn't do well with new life and situational changes. I am a creature of comfort. So I like, my old space, and I knew where everything was. That was definitely part of it. So last night I couldn't sleep, and I was thinking, like, what is the lever that we pull in order to get that awareness that leads to buying? What is that lever? And like, by leaps and bounds, if you compare everything against this one lever, I think it always wins out, and that's trust. So if you ask yourself, how can I build trust in my marketplace? And that looks like what Jeff and I are doing, right? We're starting a live show because we didn't find one that answered our questions, that kept us current, that also inspired and motivated us to do our best work in AI. We didn't find it, so we created it. It wasn't really, oh, let's get famous and launch a podcast. I mean, that may come with the territory. Great. But that's not what we're after. We're after solving something, bringing something to the population, to you listening, that we didn't have for ourselves. And through that, we are going to build so much trust in the industry, because you're going to get to hear straight from us what we're working on, the failures, the successes, what we see in the market. We're going to make some very accurate predictions. Hopefully. We'll see. But the goal is like massive trust, where and you are able to identify with our voices because it resonates with you. And so that's what you need to ask yourself going into the next, I'm not even going to say year, I'm going to say like 6 months. Is like, how can I use AI to replace all this manual work of delivery, the scheduling of marketing tasks, all of the work itself? But then that human to human interaction, how can I be even more present there? How can I add a story to my website while Continent Scale produces blogs like a boss on autopilot and gets me tons of traffic? How can I add the story? How can I create more video content? How can maybe I start a podcast? Maybe I do something internal with the team. Start there. That's actually how our podcast was internal first. So I can build massive industry trust, because I truly think, like, if you gave me a choice and you're like, Julia, here's an army of VAs or AI agents, and they're going to send 10,000 cold emails this week. Or here's one stage with 200 people, marketers, entrepreneurs, your ideal audience, that are ready, waiting, and willing to hear what you have to say when you step on stage. I will pick those 200 people anytime over that mass cold outreach campaign where I'm going to blast folks that don't know me anytime, because I know the ROI will be so much greater. So I would totally agree with you, Jeff. Take it a step further, that trust is by far one of the biggest levers you can build. And that's your brand. That's who you project on the internet and who you are. It's not, for me, it's not just a projection, because everything is intentional. I will tell you that. When you follow me, everything is intentional, down to me sharing, I tripped, I fell, and I cut my foot. Like, even that is intentional, because my goal is to share with you the real side of who I am. When COVID happened, we shared when our income in our agency got sliced in half, and we were worried about paying our bills. And I had spent 9 years as an entrepreneur. Did I want to be there? Heck no, I didn't. I grumped the whole week. I shouldn't be here. I worked 9 years. But the goal of sharing that side of everything is to build that trust, because when you know that this person who's selling you something is a real person that you can actually relate to, then purchasing becomes a no-brainer. Jeff, you got the shades on.
I had to okay, so sorry that was distracting, but I removed one of the curtains from the window over here. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm being bombarded with light right now. The sun is like...
Just to clarify for the audio listeners, as I finished that sentence, Jeff slowly pulled out a pair of sunglasses and put them on, as if he was in the Matrix.
I'm just trying to look cool. I couldn't see anymore. I was like, let me put on sunglasses, see if that helps. It helps a little bit. It's one of the pains from moving.
Where are we going? What's our next headline?
Yeah, trust is incredibly important, and I think that you're spot on. I mean, developing that trust, and one of the reasons why, and we've talked about this before, one of the reasons I got into AI, it was so exciting for me, was mainly because of fear. I think that was the first part. It was
Mhm.
like, for those of you that don't know, I ran a video agency where we made shorts and cut up long, we did repurposing and stuff like that. And at the time I was thinking, AI can't replace me. It's not going to
Mhm.
happen. Like a
Yep.
good editor, no, it's not going to happen. Somebody that can like think like I can. And I think that was just like, I was so mistaken by that. And you look at now, we look at like Opus and stuff like that. It's like, well, that was just not too far off. So dodge a bullet with that one, right? But
Yes, just like me.
yeah, and I see that happening quite a bit. I think it's a compound over the next 6-9 months. We're going to see a lot more of that, and you'll have to start looking for the ways that you adapt. And we're going to be an excellent source for you to come and learn how to adapt and really get good information that helps you succeed in the future. For the name Future Tense.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
this podcast really is a podcast of passion for us. I feel like, I think that
Mhm.
if anybody could see our Slack messages or in our text messages about how excited we are to film every single episode and
Yeah.
like hey, look at this article. Wouldn't this be cool to share? Like, it is a really, I think it's kind of like a calling. We're just like, we feel called to do this and provide this and talk to people about it. And I hope that every single person that listens to this we kind of convey that and get that across to you, and that you really enjoy the content.
Yes. And to add to that, one last thought. I in my ramblings up until the wee hours of 4 a.m. last night, one of the existential thoughts I had was, well, Julia, your whole life has been in content, and now AI can do it just as good as you. Very soon it will be able to do it even better, I believe. Now, I'm not saying it can tell my story like I can. I still think there's so much room, and I'm writing one book completely with AI, one book completely humanly, two polar opposite topics, and one book hinges on me, my story, my full body headshot photo, full body photos on the front cover. The other one is AI, and it's very clear it's AI written. So two very different purposes. You got me doing one, me not doing the other. But when I think about me being fully replaced in the world I lived in and served for so many years, and I look ahead to the future, I just think amazing things are actually coming, where on this podcast we get to talk about things that just inspire me so much, where it's not just content, it's your life, and your life getting way more efficient. And when I look back on the journey I had in 2021, I sold a 100-person writing agency. That life, to be quite honest, had not gotten inspiring any longer. This is one of the main reasons I sold. I was totally uninspired. It was a lot of drudgery. Not to say we didn't have great clients, didn't have a great team. We did. We had all those things, making tons of money, but it was just a lot of drudgery, and I wanted something new. And then in 2022, I was coaching, and I literally helped 10x people's businesses. And I see this future with AI where we can do that on a grand scale, where it's like your life, not just your business, gets exponentially freed up and increased when you know how to adapt. And going back to one of the first headlines we shared that Jeff brought up from Search Engine Land, I would say be very careful of the points of view that you're going to continue to see. Like the minute you leave this podcast and go to social media, I guarantee you'll see another one of them where it's like, oh, but this level of expertise, oh, but this niche, oh, but this job, oh, but this occupation can't be replaced. Keep in mind, that is a point of view. That is not actual reality, because in the long run, it's been predicted that all human jobs will be automated. So it's just a matter of time. And don't be negative. Really, it's all in how you think. Mindset is everything. So it's all in how you look at it. Will you look at it as a way to take advantage of an incredible new horizon opening up, which is what Jeff and I both did, left our agencies, and we're doing this now? Or will you let fear take over? And I, for one, would not like for that to happen. So keep listening to our podcast. And I will also drop, Jeff, anything you have to add, I would drop that we are also working on a guest list. My move interrupted that whole thing, so I'll get back to it soon. But we're going to have some amazing guests for you on the show as well. We want to bring their stories to you, and you get to hear from some of the pioneers, thought leaders, experts that are working in AI with us in the same industry. So keep an eye out for that, an ear out for that. In the long run, that will be coming this year. Jeff, any other notes you want to end on?
Nope, I think that's great. I think that we covered quite a bit. I enjoyed this episode. It was awesome. Yeah, I hope that everybody has a great rest of their week, and we will see you. We'll still see you Thursday, but it won't be a live, I don't believe. It'll be a video.
Yes. What we're going to do is take the audio stream from my talk at Concordia College. They're getting 3 college classes, graduate classes in one room to hear me talk about the future of AI. So we're going to take that audio Jeff's got some great gear for, and that will be the podcast episode. I think that'll be a lot of fun because, it's a full, very highly developed talk because I go in my hermit hole to write these talks. To be fair, I haven't actually had the time to practice this one yet. We'll see how it goes. And I am like OCD about stuff. I over prepare, so I'm sure it'll be fine. But that's me. So that's what's coming to the podcast later this week. But thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to Future Tense on any streaming platform you listen to. That's where we are. We'd love to hear from you. Email us anytime. I'm Julia at Continent Scale. Jeff, what's your email?
I'm Jeff at continentscale.ai.
I forgot the .ai.
Yeah, not .com.
Don't do that. But email us with any questions you have, problems or obstacles you're facing in your job industry. We'd love to hear from you, help you adapt, help you understand how to adapt and move forward. That said, we will see you on the next episode. Jeff, you got to get some shades on those those windows.
Oh, that'll be in Arizona. These can be fun now.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.